3, 2, 1.
My name is Nick. I'm a full-time trader and entrepreneur. We put out tons of stuff for free for traders. These are real trades. This is real money. I'm putting my money on the line. This is going to be a live trading video here, locking in over $1,000 on this trade. Wow, I'd love to get in on this. Technical insights that really look good to me. There we go. We're live. And there it is, you guys. We are back live for another weekly, well, I guess not weekly, but every day, each week, analysis stream. Welcome, everybody. Thanks very much for being back with me. Excited for a fresh week, as I'm sure plenty of you guys are as well. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Thanks for being here with me. I appreciate it. I saw a couple notable people hanging out here early in the stream. We schedule them a little bit ahead of time, so sometimes there's people in the, as Ivan says, the hashtag early gang. So those of you guys who tune in early and you wait for the streams, thanks so much for being here. I really do appreciate you supporting and chilling and hanging out with me on the streams. How's everybody doing? It's kind of cool because like when you do this for a while, like obviously I'm at every stream and you start to really recognize a lot of the people who are like, they're like gang, right? They're like the true regulars in the crowd. If that is you, then special shout out to you. You know who you are. A lot of people hang out every single day here, make it part of their market analysis, which I really appreciate. Because like I said, it's kind of like a good process. I've said this in the past. It's a great way for me to get on here and do my analysis, talk trade setups, ideas, because it helps me as a trader to sort of like present my concepts. It really helps me in that way. I like public speaking as a way of like kind of, I don't know, formulating my thoughts. Anyways, how's everybody doing? Thanks for being here. Happy that we've got over 180 people already in the chat. So let's go ahead and not waste everybody's time. Let's go ahead and get into things. And again, start off the week strong. So let's jump over to the currency heat map just to start things out, just to see what's moving this week so far. We've got the euro looking kind of negative. We've got the dollar sort of flat. The yen is looking a bit positive against the euro and the dollar. That's sort of interesting. The pound is flat right now. The Swiss franc looks negative today. And then the Aussie and the New Zealand both look very strong today. And then the CAD is in red. Okay, interesting stuff there. So the big ones to focus on, actually I find very interesting is that we've got the Aussie and the New Zealand moving up, but the CAD is sort of deviating. Recently, these three have been moving a lot together, mostly because they sort of, or one of the reasons would be most of their economies are relatively similar in the sense that they both deal with a lot of commodities. Now they're very different countries and they're very different parts of the world, but again, these three are usually considered like the commodity major currencies or major economies due to the fact that Australia, you know, they export a lot to China and they export a lot to the US and et cetera. And then you've got Canada, which, you know, they produce a ton of oil, you know, they've got lumber, all sorts of stuff that they export from the Great White North as well. So anyways, just interesting to see that those two are sort of deviating a little bit. I'm wondering why. We'll have to figure some stuff out. So we will figure all of that stuff out as we do here on the streams. TH King says we're a family. Appreciate that, man. Thanks for being here. Hey guys, happy Monday. Happy Monday to everybody. Hey Craig. Hey Dade, good to see you guys. Andrew, 180 people, only 34 likes. Like it up, guys. Thanks, Andrew. I want to ask will gold push up or push down or consolidation today? I wish I had an easy answer for you. We will get to gold. We'll talk about gold and do a little analysis on it for sure. But if you guys are new here, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. We do these throughout the week. There's lots of shows planned today. This is actually going to be our busiest day, I think, ever in terms of streams. I was looking at our schedule. We have 4 streams today, which is a lot of time. Now, you guys already know, like I stream on this channel, but then we also have a second channel. It's linked down below in the description. It's the second link in the description. Our other channel, we have 3 more shows going on after me. So if you're not already subscribed to the secondary channel, open that up for a second, subscribe to that channel and tune in because we've got some banger shows coming out today. Got some really exciting new guests to feature as well as some of our regulars. We got RT Forex and we have the Knock Trader coming back. So lots of good shows coming out today. So stick around for that for sure. The dollar is looking very, very interesting. I had a conversation last Friday with my friend Ivan, who's probably still somewhere around here. Ivan and I were talking about the dollar and the news that came out last week. Just as a quick refresher, let's pull that up on Forex Factory here and see. Let's just refresh ourselves here. So last week we had a really big report for the US dollar. We had unemployment numbers come out for actually US and also Canada. Okay, so both Canada and the US reported on their unemployment rates as well as their employment change. Now, if we first look at Canada, now the reason that this matters is that this could carry over into this week. Some statements could be made, some movements could happen due to the fact that this was big news last week. Everybody knows about NFP on the release, but not everybody pays attention to it, the next coming days, which can be very, very important. Now, unemployment numbers. We actually saw from Canada, we saw minus 68K jobs. And then in terms of the US, we had 559K jobs created, which still positive jobs, but it is less than expected. Okay, so the interesting thing about that was that we were predicting, or the analysts were forecasting 645,000 new jobs created, and we actually got 559K. The reason that that is a big deal is the fact that if you go back to the dollar, right, the DXY, all those currency crosses, right, if you trade XAU USD, if you trade pound dollar, euro dollar, dollar yen, these are all impacted by big, heavy dollar news, which is what NFP was. Well, we saw that news come in, right? And it was super negative reaction for the US dollar. And one of the reasons that Ivan said very, very well on the stream last week, he came on and joined me and gave me a lesson. He basically was saying that, because those job numbers were very, very, they weren't better than expected. They weren't like as good as they were hoping for. That was a really negative reaction, not only just because obviously less jobs are not as good, but also because of all the pressure that is being put on the Fed, or the supposed pressure that this would have caused for the Fed to raise rates. Now, raising rates, basically, it makes a currency very, very attractive. That's the basic thing that you should probably understand about rates if you're newer into trading. If they raise interest rates, it's usually good for a currency. If they cut interest rates, it's usually bad for a currency. Well, there has been pressure on the Fed, talks about inflation's kind of a concerning thing. Maybe we can raise rates to sort of combat that. Well, they were looking at these jobs numbers and saying, well, if those job numbers come out really good, that could be the catalyst that gets the Fed to roll over and to really raise rates. But that's not what we saw. And so for me, that is a huge bearish continuation for the dollar for me. So I am bearish on the dollar. I talked about in my Sunday video yesterday. If you watched that, I basically talked about the fact that I think that this renews my bearish interest on the dollar for now. Now, there might be some pullback plays. There might be some opportunities to look for that. So let's go ahead and start looking for them to see with that thesis. Like I said, so for me, there's dollar bearishness for the week at least. Does that mean that the dollar is going to go down? Maybe, but I'm not saying that that is exactly what it's guaranteed to happen. I'm saying that is my bias. So I am looking for opportunities to sell the dollar if at all possible. Dollar CAD says Frank says dollar CAD is an interesting pair right now. We will definitely be taking a look at the dollar CAD. Frank puts out our weekly report, by the way, inside of the private group for those of you guys who know and love that. I know a lot of people are very, they're loving the weekly forecast that we put out. So Frank is the one behind that. So Frank also puts less jobs added, but unemployment still went down. Yeah. So, which makes sense, Frank. So the idea there is, right, the number of jobs created. Well, I guess in the US, it really makes sense, right? Because in the US, you had jobs created, yes, and unemployment improving, but it wasn't at the fastest pace that we were looking at or expecting from analysts, right? So that was the idea. It was like, we're going to have a crazy good jobs report and it's going to be even better than expected. And that's going to push the Fed to raise rates and that's going to be super dollar positive. And we just didn't get it. It didn't materialize in the numbers. And so when I look at this, when I look at euro dollar, this to me is probably more bullish than bearish for my bias. So what that means is I'd be looking for, now with my fundamental bias, I'm looking for technical setups to look to go long and to look to go with the move there. Again, that is, not necessarily in play just yet. If you're a lower time frame trader, if you're looking at the 1 hour chart on the euro dollar today, you can see we're kind of in a consolidation phase. This is sort of looking like a bull flag, though. If you were to arguably, make a case for this being a bull flag, something like this, right? There's your flagpole, back and forth. If you are very bullish on the euro dollar and you're intraday trader, there might be something like this to come out of this. If we do see that, continuation from the euro dollar, if we can see a breakout there, could be a nice move. You're also contending with this barrier right here. You've got resistance at that 1.2178, which actually makes this even more interesting, because if this was to break out, really looks like a pretty nice intraday setup there on Euro USD to the upside. You got this little flag pattern. You had this nice bullish move off of the news on Friday, and then you've got resistance here. Now, the reason I point out the resistance is not because I want to be buying it here under resistance. It's because if price breaks resistance and it comes back to it, that would be like a very interesting setup to me for euro dollar continuations here. From there, from a stop loss perspective, if you're targeting the recent top there at 1.2250, let's say, that's a good move of what? 75 pips there for, a relatively small risk. You could put something just below, structure here if you wanted to risk a bit more, or you could even put it within the range there. You could say something like this: don't want to see it break back underneath here. And then, you're risking relatively small to make a nice potential figure if you are bullish on the euro dollar going into this week. 491 people in here. Hello and happy Monday to you. Thanks for being here. Really do appreciate all you guys showing up. I hope you had a nice weekend. Did anybody watch the fight last night? Frank and I actually watched the fight, and believe it or not, we bet on the fight, which, not encouraged. It's, gambling is stupid, but we did it just for fun. And we bet the undercards. So we bet the undercards and is that what you even call it? The other fighters, right? The lead up to the fight, right? And so we bet the underdogs on all three fights. So the first one actually won, and it paid us off. We put $10 on each fight, I guess, or I put $10. I put $10 on each fight, and even though I lost I put Logan Paul, and then I put what was the other guy? The other middle fight that was just a blowout if you watched it. And then the first guy we won on. So that actually, the first one paid for the other two losses. And I didn't really care who won on the actual official card, Mayweather, Logan Paul. I didn't really care, but I just bet it because I don't know. Who knows? Miracle round. But I should have known better. You're talking about Floyd Mayweather. Are you kidding me? That guy is a absolute beast. Yeah, look at this. Evan says too much hugging. Yeah, that middle guy. I don't know, Evan, if you watched the full fight, those middle fighters. Was he from Venezuela? That guy, that one guy, he just kept hugging the other one. That was funny. Same with Logan Paul also. But anyways, yeah, hope you guys had a nice weekend. Watching this breakout will be very interesting. If this can break and keep above that, very, very much could see euro dollar continue to rally, especially if you're dollar bearish like I am right now. That looks like a really interesting little setup. So we'll keep eyes on that one. That could be interesting to see there. In fact, what I will do is I'm actually going to set an alert, add alert. I'm going to say if it crosses, if it crosses above there, send me a little message there. Okay, cool. Yeah. And then let's keep going. We'll take a look at pound dollar today, see what's going on with the pound. Look at that. The pound coming in strong today. Nothing but green candles so far. You can see this is the 1 hour chart. You had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 green candles in a row there on the pound dollar. Very, very interesting there. If you're bullish on the pound, similar kind of idea here. You've got this resistance point right there. If price is able to do something like this, you could trade that intraday. For me, I've mentioned multiple times, I'm sort of on the sidelines with the pound dollar. Sort of just been back and forth for a while, very, very choppy, very range bound. And on the bigger time frames, I'm still waiting for that setup on the 4 hour and daily chart, which would be, if it does occur, again, I'm dollar bearish, so I'm looking to go long on the pound, sell off on the dollar. If we see something like this, I like that setup a lot. Now, that's one that I've been really, really patient on, but if it happens, I will definitely be stepping up to the plate for that one. Okay, so definitely going to be taking a look at the pound dollar if we can see this pound bullishness continue. But things are just looking really promising in the UK, relatively speaking. The pound looks really attractive to me. I really like the idea of looking for more pound longs, but I got to get the setup before I jump in there, and especially when things are so choppy like this, just no rush for me to try and get involved. So that is what it is. I'm waiting on that one for sure. Pound dollar gave you such a beautiful entry this morning. Yeah, if you bought the lows there, my goodness, man, look at this. If you bought the lows down here, if you bought into that zone, would have been fantastic. Honestly, if I was more of a range bound trader, I probably would have taken something like this. But I've just been sitting on the sidelines for a little bit on pound dollar, just because, again, this one and Aussie dollar have both been so choppy, and I've been waiting to look for that dollar weakness to play out. But until it shows some signs of demand, I'm just going to be sort of sidelined on this one. But again, if you caught that pound dollar move this morning, congratulations. That thing is really rocking today. So, Rohit, I'll add the currency pairs. I don't usually do that. My producer does, and he is a little bit late today. He had some card troubles, so apologies. Usually he goes into the thing and does something like what am I doing? Pound dollar. Like he'll throw it up on the screen like that. I'll try and do it for the next few minutes, but it's hard to do it all at once. We'll keep let's go pound yen. And I'll switch it over here for my friends there. Pound yen. Okay. So pound yen. Pound yen also looking very, very interesting. The yen is pretty strong today, actually, isn't it? Let's go back. I want to take a look at the currency heat map just a second more. Yeah, the yen is pretty strong today. You can see it moving up against against almost all except the New Zealand dollar today. So very positive yen today. I'm not exactly sure why. Is there anything out about the yen that is of interest? Let's go see. Japanese share close higher. Interesting. Investors proved optimistic on riskier assets after weaker than expected U.S. jobs data on Friday, eased some fears about the economy running too hot and stoking inflation. Local 10-year bond yields. Okay. Interesting. Might just be sentiment shift. A lot of times we see, the yen get strong when people are a little bit concerned about markets. What's the stock market doing today? SPX 500. Stock market looks a little bit flat today. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Back to pound yen. I don't know. So pound yen it's just doing its pound yen things, but still hovering around support here. We'll take a look at the 4-hour chart and see what is going on with this one. So the pound yen did fall out of this trend line here that we had drawn. So you can see we were seeing this thing every time pull back, hold demand very, very well. So it does look like it's taking a pause. Now, I will say that just because this thing is taking a pause doesn't mean that it's absolutely going to tank from here. Could that happen? Sure, it supposedly could, especially if things get very negative or concerning for markets right now. Like if, I don't know, if you had some very bad news for global economic health or something, usually you would see this thing really sell off. But right now we are sort of hovering at support. So I'm not going to jump to conclusions that this thing is going down until you start to see, a couple series of lower lows, lower highs. That would be more convincing to me from a technical analysis perspective that this thing is headed lower. So when I'm looking at pound yen here on the 4-hour chart, I'm going to be pretty patient with this one and just say, there might be some opportunities if you're very long biased to look for setups here. But again, the other concept here is if you drew this fib, we're still pretty far away from a true, like a decent sized pullback. What looks more interesting to me, honestly, is if I go ahead and I'm going to set an alert here for this. If I set an alert here, create that. Okay, there we go. So with the pound yen, I like the idea of a pullback to that 38.2%. So if that was to come into play, that definitely could be more interesting, right? Move down to 38.2. That's a deeper retracement. And usually I like a nice healthy pullback after a big run up like this. We're pushing higher, prices breaking out and continuing, but then just recently it hasn't been able to hold that same momentum. So for me, when I'm looking at this, when I'm looking at pound yen, I'm saying, okay, great. I'll definitely be interested in buying this thing, but I'd like to get a discount if possible. So for me, 38.2, I put that alert in there and I definitely will be watching out for that. I'm actually going to delete my old alert here because we're kind of far away from that. So yeah, so that's my biggest interest on pound yen. You've got some great support here down at 38.2 and definitely very much interested in buying that thing if the yen stays strong for a week and pushes us down to that point on pound yen. What about dollar yen? While we're talking about it, the dollar yen real selling off here today. We had a lot of bearish reaction to the news there on Friday. Obviously, this one, having to do with the dollar. We saw that dollar weakness come in hot with the unemployment numbers looking, not bad, but not as good as expected. So a little bit of a stunt for the dollar bulls right now. You can kind of see if we drew in this trend line as well. You've kind of got this concept here where you could argue that we're in the range of, that trend line pullback. If you are very bullish on the dollar, there might be some opportunities there. You've kind of got some structure here as well. We could draw this in here. Again, it's not the cleanest setup or the best one I've ever seen, but if you're very dollar positive, if you think it has more upside, or just very bearish on the yen, maybe there's some setups here. We'll take a look at the 1 hour chart as well, just to see what's going on here on the lower time frames. Doesn't look like it wants to stop just yet. You can kind of see it's just been hovering this area, but it does look like it's got some conviction. It was consolidating here and here on this Monday morning here in the New York session. Looks like it's trying to bust lower. Again, if I'm looking at this thing also, you had this support that really, if buyers were really strong, they probably would have held that. They definitely tried, but again, still pushing lower. So not a rush to buy the dollar yen for me right now. Probably would like to see this thing get some more dollar positive. Now, let me tell you one thing that would definitely get me dollar positive again. It would be signals from the Fed that rate hikes are coming, because right now the signals from them are like, we're going to do everything we possibly can to not raise rates. And until that narrative changes, I'm definitely going to be on pause for dollar bullishness. I've mentioned this a few times since the stream started, but for those of you guys who are just tuning in now, again, I'm dollar bearish right now. I think for this week, if anything, I'd look more for setups on the sell side personally. Now, please remember, that does not mean I'm telling you to go do that with your money. This is just me sharing my opinions here on the channel. So let's keep moving along. We'll take another look at the yen currency cross. We'll take a look at Aussie yen today and see what's going on with this one. And see if we can add some clarity to this very choppy currency pair right now. Let's see if we can do this. Just drag those out. Okay, so Aussie yen, this one is just kind of a not attractive currency pair to me right now. So honestly, there's not too much to say here for me. This is a pretty choppy currency pair, not something that, I would rush to trade. Ivan says, I would argue that dollar yen is very difficult trade setup. It's a high, then falls, and no real pullback. Yeah, I mean, that was a sharp sell-off from Friday. Nick, check Forex Factory. You know what? Actually, that's a good point. I meant to do that earlier. Let's cover this week here. So this is right here. We have something to note. We don't have very much starting out the week. So, nothing pressing right off the bat. However, the second half of the week gets interesting. On Wednesday at 10 a.m., you have CAD rate statement coming out, which could be impactful. If you don't know what that is, it is essentially where they talk about interest rates. It is the primary tool that the Bank of Canada uses to communicate with investors about monetary policy. It contains the outcome of their decision on interest rates and commentary about the economic conditions that influence their decision. Now, remember, here on the channel, I talk very often about interest rates and how impactful they are in the currency market. It's kind of like a giant dividend, if you are familiar with stocks. If the dividend goes up, it's more attractive. If the dividend goes down, it is less attractive. And so, watching these Bank of Canada, Bank of England, the Fed talk about rate concepts is always going to be a hot topic for potentially market moving events. So again, speaking of that, the CAD yen has taken a beating today, which stinks because I was long in this one, but it'll make for hopefully a good video. I've been filming my trades, as you guys know, or at least some of them. It's a lot to keep up with, but I've been filming as many as I can recently. So this is probably going to be a loss here. I I can see it on my other screen. It's not looking very good, but it is what it is. It happens. My win streak definitely ended last week. Took a couple losses there in the second half of the week, and hopefully we can turn it around this week. We will see if the markets permit. So with that said, CAD yen actually does look very interesting. I'm still interested in bullish setups on this currency pair. My idea was essentially this area, right? Like a pretty clean retest of this zone. And it started out looking pretty decent. Like the start of the week looked pretty good for the CAD yen. And I was thinking, hey, I might have a profitable trade here. I think I was up $500 around there. And then now probably going to stop out there for around $500 lost. But again, it is what it is. We move on and we look for more setups. So when I'm looking at this CAD yen, like I said, I thought that this zone might hold a little bit better. It's been in a beautiful uptrend overall and something that I've been wanting to be a part of and still am. I might actually try again should we get another further retracement, a little bit deeper of a pullback. Could actually be more interesting to me on this. But again, Canada had some not as good as expected numbers on Friday, similar to the US, that sort of caused a little bit of a push lower here. So breaking through the 100 moving average there on the 4-hour chart, I am eyeing this level of support. Should things keep going lower, I might look to re-enter and just take a small loss in the meantime. So in fact, what I will do, you guys already know I set my alerts here. And just because I get alerted about something doesn't mean I'll take the trade because, I get a lot of alerts and it usually has to do in my strategy. I don't want to take too many, yen trades at the same time. I don't want to take too many dollar trades at the same time because, I've made this example before. Let's say that you take CJ, CAD yen, you take dollar yen, and you take pound yen. If I was to buy all three of these currency pairs, I would be actually shorting the yen times 3. And the reason that that's not a good thing for me to do is because this does not keep me diversified at all. In fact, this keeps me very, very exposed to if I'm wrong about the yen, I don't want to take a 3 times my loss. I want to take, 1 times my loss. And because these are generally going to, if the yen gets super strong or super weak, they're all going to move kind of in the same direction. Not perfectly because this side of the aisle is a little bit different, but you get what I'm saying. So I don't want to take too many trades at the same time. So I might have alerts that go off all on the same day and then pick my favorite on that day. If I do take any trades, you guys already know, I share them inside of the private group. Shout out to my friends inside of our private Discord. I'll share what it looks like here so you guys can see. Here's my CAD yen trade, not going so hot today, but the idea is I share all of my trades here in my journal, whether it is a win or loss. We've had some really great trades in the last few weeks, but today not going so hot. But anyways, if you want to see all my trades and you want to join our chat rooms, we also do live coaching webinars with a guy named Joe Barreca. He is a great educator inside of the trading space, inside of our private group. We also share trade ideas. We put out weekly forecast reports, research from our team, et cetera, et cetera. We have our strategy library, educational material. All of this stuff is available in our Discord. If you're not already in the Discord, there is information down below in the description. You can use the code there for a promo code for supporting the live streams. And again, our staff works very hard to make this the very best place for traders looking to join a community and to improve. It is not a signal service. It's not a blind copy, just do what somebody else is doing. That is not what we're here to do. Our goal is to bring traders together who are serious about this, who want to make this a lifelong skill and take it to the next level. So if that sounds interesting to you, definitely check out the private group. Check out our Discord down below in the description with that promo code, which gets yen for cheap. So again, CAD yen, it's on my watch list. I'll say that much. I'm probably going to take a loss here. If it breaks the low of the day, I will take a loss on CAD yen and move on from that one. Any other yen pairs? We looked at pound yen. We looked at CAD yen, Aussie yen. What about New Zealand yen? This one also does look tentatively interesting to me. And it's actually the one that is holding against the yen the best right now. You can actually see that while most currencies are moving lower against the yen today, the New Zealand is holding its own. The New Zealand dollar very strong this week and looking very, very interesting on the long side to me. Should we get pullbacks, this could be one currency that I'd really like to get involved with. They've actually talked about raising rates as early as September of 2022, which is still a long ways off, but that's a big monetary policy shift that is sooner than expected for a lot of the other major economies. So the New Zealand dollar is sort of looking attractive to investors and to traders alike. So for me, I'm long biased on the New Zealand dollar if there are setups, and especially long against the yen should we see an opportunity to get long. It looks like we had a really nice little pullback there to the low. I did not catch that trade, but again, I like this uptrend, and I will definitely be looking for setups here on the New Zealand yen. But I really don't see anything that is super interesting to me here, but I just wanted to note that if this thing makes for some nice technical setups, I can definitely see myself jumping into the long side on New Zealand yen. And Euro yen will be our next one. Thanks for that, Joseph. I would like to take a look at Euro yen while we are talking Japan today. So I was actually marking this one up this morning. These levels of support are now looking like levels of resistance as price is pretty much controlled by the sellers for the time being. So let's see if we can make out any ideas based on that. So if price is pulling back, I'm not rushing to get long in the Euro yen either. Again, I can set another alert here and just in case, I'll set that just in case I have an interest in buying Euro yen. I had a great trade on Euro yen during this time, caught that move there on the lower time frames, which was awesome. So definitely going to be watching that for a pullback. Again, sellers definitely are in control. If there's a move down to this zone, that is probably where I would first get interested in looking for a long setup, but I'm not going to rush because I think right now I'd like to see some sort of sign of bulls on the yen, bears on the yen currency, because right now, I bet you if you go over here, sentiment is probably shifting. You got probably a lot of retail traders who are trying to go against the yen right now. Let's look at Euro yen, for example. Yeah, so Euro yen is sort of shifting back. Euro yen was super shorted by retail, and now retail is sort of jumping back on the long side of things. Aussie yen still very shorted by retail. CAD yen still very shorted. Actually, that's interesting. Very, very interesting, actually. In fact, that makes me even more confident in my CAD yen trade to potentially re-enter. For those of you guys in the private group, if I do re-enter on CAD yen, I showed you where I probably would. I'm going to try and be just patient on that one, but CAD yen, although I probably will take a small loss on that one today, I am definitely still interested in that currency pair for a long setup. That might sound weird, so I'll just go into detail again for members. I just want to try and clarify this a little bit. So you guys saw I took that trade on the long side somewhere around here, and my stop loss is just below where we are currently sitting. So if I get stopped out, I probably will still look for another opportunity to try and go long on the Canadian dollar against the Japanese yen again. I just might wait, right? So for me, in my strategy, there's no problem in re-entering a trade. In fact, I fully embrace the idea of just taking a small stop and just re-entering if you find an opportunity. But again, for me, that probably looks like if we make a straight shot down to this area here at 89.9, you guys will probably see me take another trade there. Like I said, I've got the alert set. So if it does come in, I'll probably look for that setup. And again, I'll adjust my stop loss and my target for that trade accordingly. And if I take that trade, of course, you guys will see it there. But that's definitely probably the closest thing on my watch list, even though I'm this is not going super well so far. I think I might just be early on this and might look to re-enter. Thoughts on euro dollar? Yeah, the euro dollar probably looking strong here. I talked about it earlier on in the stream. For the people who are here just now, I'll talk about this because it was a really interesting idea. So for euro dollar here, I talked about this little lower time frame setup on the 1 hour chart. I talked about the fact that we're sort of flagging here. We had this big old flag right here. Well, I guess, let me do this right. This would be the pole, and this would be the flag, right? It's not the prettiest of all time, but I'm going to count it. So we had basically a bullish flag here. You had this nice big pull up on the news, consolidating here and watching to see if that one wants to break out higher today. Should be interesting to see. But again, I like that opportunity for something like this, something like a break, retest, and continuation long. If that happens, could be a really nice little setup there on the intraday timeframes. I'll be watching that myself to see if there's any opportunities, but again, not going to rush that one either. Let's see. What about gold? So we'll take a look at gold, XAU, USD here. See what's going on with gold this morning. So gold, where are we at? So last week, the dollar really had a big impact on the gold prices. We had a lot of movement back and forth. We had a lot of, started out the week very, very negative for the gold market. And then we sort of bottomed out. The news came out and it was super positive for the gold market because jobs were just not as good as expected here in the US. So off of the back of that, I would expect most likely, we talked about this on stream last week, Ivan and I, we talked about that push back to 1910 and how I think that is kind of the path of least resistance for gold right now. I think it is probably headed back there. Now, again, this was the first real pullback that we've seen in a while on gold. If we scroll out, we haven't really seen that big of a retracement on gold. We went from 1916 down to 1856, let's say. Just around that area, we saw that pretty steep pullback. So when I'm watching this again, I think that the path of least resistance is probably a move back to 1810. And then should things continue to be bearish for the dollar, I don't see why we couldn't break through that level and continue. I looked at the COT reports in yesterday's Sunday video, and I talked about the fact that with the COT numbers, we really saw gold kind of flat last week, which is still positive to me. I'd be more concerned if we saw a big sell-off on gold from institutional traders, but institutional traders seem to be holding the bag still on gold. And so very possible that we could see a continuation up there on the gold market for the time being. So again, still bullish on this market and looking for opportunities there. Arguably you could have been bullish today even, or I guess in the last 24 hours, looking at this pullback. But again, gold seems to be strong right now, especially with the dollar looking a little bit weak. Let's just real quick, what's the DXY doing right now? Is the dollar selling off? Yeah, the dollar's looking very weak right now. Very, very interesting there. Again, if the dollar breaks lower, path of least resistance looks like it's headed back down to the lows. So again, that's why I'm pretty bearish on the dollar right now this week. So definitely keep an eye on the dollar currency pairs this week. Could be very, very interesting should we see a move back down to lows. Some of those gold movements would probably actually, back to gold for just a second, like gold probably, if we see that dollar continue lower, gold is very likely to run back up to 1910. But again, the next wave from there, right? Bigger picture swing traders, if you have targets like I do, which is 1950 in mind, you're looking at things like this. You're looking at big moves like that, multi-week moves. Because again, when even in a bullish uptrend, that's what, a week of data, 2 weeks of data. We're looking at a 4-hour chart. So, that's like 2 or 3 weeks of data, just eyeballing it roughly. So, if you're looking at that big move, that could be a trade setup. Like Frank was in a gold trade for a few months from the lows, right? So you can catch these great big moves, but sometimes they take a lot of patience if you're gonna go for that sort of move. So 1950, a lot of times people say like, oh, it'll be up there by a very, very short time. Markets take time to really trend. Even in an uptrend, it takes a while for prices to get there. If you're looking at a natural progression, again, this trend line looks like a pretty healthy projection, right? So you can see this trend line. What is that? 4 weeks roughly. So that would be 2 weeks. If things stay very bearish for the dollar and can push lower, you're talking about a move there in approximately 2 weeks. That's pretty aggressive though. That's assuming we don't take any pauses. That's assuming we don't dip, so optimistically 2 weeks, we could make it to 1950. Again, just using a line of best fit, like very, very simple concept. That's not like that's what's going to happen. That's just if things maintain the way they're going, that is what we would probably see, if we see the same pace. It's been in the minus for well over a year now. You'd think they'd know better. Are you talking about gold? Gold has been kind of an interesting one. I mean, gold, yes, has had a slow while. You can see here back in July, we had that major push higher, and then now since then we had a very negative end of the 2020, and then start to 2021 has been super bearish. There's mixed sentiment about gold. There's right now, I was pretty bearish on gold for a while here. I was not shorting it myself, but I was pretty bearish on it just because you kind of had this, growing optimism around the world, and inflation was like kind of a concern, but not really as big as it was back here. Now, recently with the spikes on inflation, the concerns around inflation, I sort of see the gold bias, especially when the big institutional traders are going long on gold right now. I don't say that just from opinion. I say that from the COT reports. We'll head over here just real quick. Let me show you this. You guys can go over to the site anytime you want. Head over to a1trading.com, click COT reports, and then go over down to gold if you want to look at gold. We'll click that, and we can take a look at this just as a refresher. I pulled this up in yesterday's video, but again, I don't mind going through it again. So recently, we had a lot of sell pressure on gold during early 2021 and late 2020. Actually really just started in 2021. We had a lot of sell-offs on the institutional side of things. And then you had recently just an increase in interest for the gold market. Now, this doesn't mean that it's a guarantee that gold is going higher. It's just showing you the overall big picture tendencies of institutional traders right now. It seems like they've been buying. Could that continue? I would say it's probably more likely to continue than not. So again, that's not, because a lot of times they will shift, but it will take them a while, right? So here's a situation where we saw gold basically bullish from November of 2020 all the way to January, just before it started selling off. So they were buying. So there was lots of opportunities to trade with that, to ride that trend before it flipped directions, and maybe you could have even been looking to short gold. But again, COT reports, I find them very valuable. So that's my thought on gold. Is I think 1950 is still within reach. Probably, I would say in the next month or 2 months is a conservative, approach that leaves room for potential consolidation, and maybe making it up there in 2 months doesn't seem out of question. Again, should only, if the dollar weakness maintains. What's the website called? It is a1trading.com. There should be links down below in the description, and that is our company website. So check us out at a1trading.com. Again, plenty of free tools there for you to use and to take advantage of completely free. Pound dollar was a good buy at 1.4120 this morning. Now we need to wait for a new pullback. Other than that, waiting for a new higher high. Yeah, same concept with pound dollar. I didn't take any trades. Ivan, I hope you caught that pound dollar trade. It was a very beautiful pullback this morning. By the time I had gotten to the office, it was already sort of left the station. But anyways, what else can we look at? Let's look at, we want to look at dollar CAD. Frank talked about dollar CAD and I never looked at it. So I'm sorry, Frank. Let's look at it now. So dollar CAD, very, very choppy right now. Back and forth on this currency pair. And if I'm looking at this from the daily perspective, we're under that 200 pretty decisively. I mean, the 200 is way up here. And actually, the fact that the 200 is so far away might be something to take note of. Now, the moving averages here look beautiful to the downtrend. Sellers just dominate this market right now. I've taken a lot of shorts on this currency pair and have done pretty well with that in the last year or so. So I am still looking for short setups personally. However, Frank mentioned that with those numbers looking not so good for the for Canada as well, and we're just chopping back and forth here. He was making the point that there might be some short-term bullishness for dollar CAD, which honestly, I'm not saying is impossible either, because if you look at this thing from a 4-hour view for a second, we'll take the moving averages off for just a moment. Taking a look at dollar CAD, you've got this thing in a super choppy low. And again, sellers don't seem to want to really push this thing through just yet. If they do start to push it through, I'd be looking to short. I'd be looking for opportunities to keep going lower with this. Again, I'm pretty bearish on the dollar right now, but Canada does have, a bit higher unemployment rates right now. Their numbers were not the best either last week. So should it be a turn for the dollar? Should we see the CAD, take off the acceleration for a minute, maybe pump the brakes a little bit, we could see price actually pulling back. And this is actually more interesting to me. I've talked about this last week. I like the idea of shorting dollar CAD, but really I'd love to see a pullback because we've just been, we've been trending down and then now just sideways. So very possible that we could see, dollar strength come in, do something like this. Should things, look very negative for the CAD. Again, the CAD has been kind of beaten up today. If we go back to the website for a moment, we'll go over to the currency heat map. So on the currency heat map, the CAD kind of getting beat up today, and it's possible that could continue for this week. So again, not the best numbers out of Canada on Friday. I'm still bullish on the Canadian dollar, but I really wouldn't mind, waiting for pullbacks. So if it does want to get a push up here on dollar CAD, trade setups like this, if you're an intraday trader or just a short-term swing trader, there might be some nice little break and retest consolidation points. And again, for me as a seller, more interested in areas like this and this, the 38.2 and the 61.8 off of those levels that we drew on the higher time frames. Hey guys, I just want to remind you, we've got about 600 people in here. If you're enjoying the stream, first of all, thank you very much for being here. It really does mean a lot. If you would subscribe to the channel down below and also leave a thumbs up. It's free to do. These channels that we run, they are a lot of work, but our goal is to put out as much free content as we can for you guys. So if you're enjoying, again, make sure to smash that like button down below, subscribe, and also subscribe to our second channel because we've got 3 more people going on after me today. We've got a very full roster of shows today. We've got one starting in 10, 15 minutes here with Ryan, and then we go on and on from there. We got a lot of people. So make sure to check out the secondary channel. It is A1 Trading on YouTube. There's also a link to it down below in the description. Ivan says, thank you for the subs and attention. The channel is 57 subs away from 4,000. Hey, Ivan, that's awesome, man. I'm glad. You guys, if you're not following Ivan also, he comes on to the A1 Trading channel once a week. He does a great show. It is very, very watched. It's probably one of the top favorite shows on the A1 Trading YouTube channel. But again, if you guys aren't subscribed to A1 Trading on YouTube, we've got shows after shows after shows coming your way completely for free. You can learn from more people than just myself, meet new traders, join the community, all that sort of stuff. So if you're not already subscribed, check it out. Click the bell. We got a show starting in 15 minutes on there. That will be great with Ryan. He's a very, very intelligent trader, like Ivan as well, and like all of our other friends who come on and hang out with us. One more thing on that. If you are looking to come on to the show, if you are a trader yourself, if you like being on camera, if you like hanging out, we'd love to have you. Send a message. We're looking for more show hosts because we're trying to just get the message out. We're basically trying to start a TV station for foreign exchange, currency trading, commodity trading. We're trying to create like an around the clock station for that. So if you're part of that, if you want to be a creator with us, here's how you can do it. Send a message to support. I'm going to try and do this as clean as I can at a1trading.com. Send a message to this point and we'll try and get you on the show. We're looking for more guests to come on and to hang out. Again, that is our goal, is to put out tons of free content. And the way that we do that is we get sponsors, we put out, live streams and stuff like that to try and support our mission to, like I said, no paid courses, no super expensive stuff like that. We're just here to provide value and to provide coverage for what's going on in the markets. Thank you very much, Emily, for sharing that. Again, that is much better than my horrible handwriting. Thank you, Emily. She says support at a1trading.com. Send us a message. We're trying to get more people to come on and hang out with us on the show. There we go. Thank you very much, Miles. And you see, the team's got my back. Thank you guys. Yeah. So dollar CAD, big picture here, I'd love to see a pullback. That would be the most interesting spot for me, 38.2 or 61.8. But until then, I'm sort of just paused on my dollar CAD bearishness unless things really break out and start to resume lower. Good morning, my neighbors. What's up, Jimmo? What else? Let's see. What about CAD Swiss? Speaking of the CAD, I've been watching this level here as well on CAD Swiss, but this thing has been so choppy. Look at this thing. It's been basically sideways since the start of May. A week of just basically staying completely flat here. I do like this thing long, but I really like to see it start to get moving again. The Swiss franc has been sort of a stubborn one recently. It's been very, very, choppy, holding its own against a lot of different currencies. Jan dollar CAD, we just did that one. You can just rewind a bit. Ivan says you were never gifted. We were never gifted with beautiful handwriting. Hey, at least it's both of us, At least I'm not alone on that. So let's think. Are there any other ones that we can do before I hump? Yeah, we'll do pound Swiss. This is a good one. Yes, pound Swiss. Looking handsome with a cool haircut. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, it's always whenever I didn't get a haircut this week. I got it the other week, but whenever I do get a haircut, it's such a change in my view because my hair gets all busy and big and then it goes to very short. So thanks for noticing. Pound Swiss. Okay, so 4-hour view. This thing also very choppy. Again, everything with the Swiss right now just happens to want to just go nowhere. The pound Swiss right now still overall in a nice bullish uptrend, but again, we're coming to this point where it's okay, let's see if we poke the bear, if it will actually move. Because pound Swiss, again, moving up overall, daily chart, but we've just been very choppy consolidation zones, which actually might be a clue. If this thing does decide to break out, it could be a big move. Because a lot of times you get chop followed by big breakouts, right? Here was chopping a lot, and then we saw this huge move. Chop, 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 big move down, chop, chop, chop. Is there a big move coming up or down? We don't know yet, but watching for the breakouts and for the clues could be very interesting. One thing I would say is watching for this. This is my favorite scenario on pound Swiss. I would like to be long in this currency pair if we got something like this. I love that idea. A push back to the highs could be some great setups. But again, probably want to see us clear this area here, 1.28, pretty much on the dot, 1.28. Aussie CAD, says Denise. Sure, we will take a look at Aussie CAD. AUD, CAD. Not one that we look at very often, but this is actually very interesting that we are down at the support level. We drew this a long time ago. I don't look at this currency pair very often, so I don't even remember when I drew this level. But we talked about this channel here and the fact that price looked like it was sort of magneting down to this area. If you're very long bias on the Aussie, maybe there's some opportunities to look to get long in this thing. But again, this is sort of a tough currency pair for me to trade because I'm kind of bullish on Aussie and on CAD. So I'm not rushing to trade this thing. If anything, well, and honestly, I can't even say. I'm not going to force a trade idea if I don't have one. But I will say that both of these are commodity-based currencies. I'm bullish on both of them for a similar reason because we are in a risk-off environment and both of these commodity-based economies seem to be doing well. So if anything, the only thing I can ever see myself doing on Aussie CAD, so long as my bias is like this, is range-bound trading, chopping. If you like to trade range-bound moves, then this might be a currency pair that you look at. Same with Aussie, New Zealand. Both of those I like for range-bound market-moving currency pairs. So again, maybe you're looking to sell resistance points should things, get a bit stretched or show signs of reversal. Maybe there's some stuff like that. But again, for me, no rush here to try and trade this thing. But again, if anything, range-bound favorite. With that said, you guys, we got another show coming on in just a few minutes, and I want to make sure he is all set up and ready for success. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. We do have an outro today. Miles, you want to roll the outro here in just a second? All right, cool. Miles is going to get me on the back end. Guys, I do want to say thank you so much for being here. Thanks for supporting my content as always. You guys are really the best. And the comments lately have been so positive and so constructive to what we're trying to do here. So thank you so much for being here. Make sure to subscribe. Click that notification bell also so that you get notified whenever I go live, and smash that like button before you go. Thanks so much, guys. And we'll see you back on the next show starting in just a few minutes on A1 Trading. See you then.
I know you were expecting Nick, but my name's Julie and I do the real work around here. I wanted to take a second to thank you guys for watching the show and tell you more about some free content that we offer. One of the things that we offer is a free email newsletter. So if you click the link down below, you can sign up for free market analysis, trading tips, and exclusive offers. Every once in a while, someone here at A1 Trading takes a crazy trade and you'll be the first one to know about it. See you guys next time.